We'll move on to the next question on the order paper then, which is on safer neighbourhood teams in the name of Joanne McCartney.
Yeah, well, Joanne, we had a good exchange on this just now, which I was able to point out that the answer to your question is no. It doesn't signal the end of safer neighbourhood teams. Safer neighbourhood teams remain the bedrock of our approach to policing in London. They've delivered year-on-year reductions in crime. It's down 13% since I became mayor, and indeed it had been falling before then, as I'm sure you, as we would all acknowledge. And safer neighbourhood teams are vital to continuing to build the confidence of communities. What has never been the case, even since the beginning, there has never been a cookie-cutter template for safer neighbourhood teams. That means you've had a 1, 2, 3 geometry for these teams in every ward. That has never been the case. We are going to continue to allow borough commanders flexibility to deploy their SNT officers where they think they will be most effective.
Mr Mayor, we all agree that safe neighbourhood teams are the bedrock of policing. And would you agree with me that one of the greatest successes of them has been the links they've been able to build with communities and the reassurance, trust and intelligence gathering that they've been able to provide?
Of course I agree with that.
Yeah. In the new local policing model, would you say that the focus has changed from that neighbourhood policing to one of enforcement?
No, I don't accept that at all. And indeed, I think that the simple fact that there are going to be, I know that some people have mentioned this, and people are concerned that the police are only going to be interested in fighting crime and busting down doors and that sort of thing, rather than actually engaging with the community. That is not the intention at all. The more bodies you have out there, the greater the opportunity to interact, to build relationships, to understand what's going on in the community, to understand where the problem areas are likely to be. And in Haringey, which you also represent, the numbers are going up from 55 in 2011 to 144 by 2015. That's an 89 person increase. That's a very substantial increase and a good thing, and it will be noticed. It will be noticed on the streets. And this has two effects. And the reason, a lot of police say bobbies on the beat don't matter because bobbies on the beat never actually, very rarely, stop crimes. If you talk, Bernard Hogan-Hire takes a different view. He thinks that you get people out there, not only do they very often actually personally interrupt crimes, but they prevent crime. They create a climate of security, and that's why we believe in expanding SNTs.
Mr Mayor, I don't want to go into the figures, but I would disagree with your figures because you're taking your baseline from 2011 when there was a recruitment freeze.
No, that is the relevant comparison. That is the relevant comparison.
But you said some people are raising these concerns. Well, can I tell you, it was actually Bernard Hogan-Howe that said this when he was sat there next to you 2 to 3 weeks ago. He said to this chamber that what he was trying to achieve with the safer neighbourhood teams now was to move them more towards enforcing the law and less about just building trust by meeting people. Can I finish my question, Mr Mayor? And I think there is a general concern that the key driver for the creation of safer neighbourhoods teams were actually to break the reinvention cycle, which was a cycle of continually shifting resources between enforcement and community orientation. And it seems that we're going backwards again here. Do you accept that?
No,
concern?
I don't. I think possibly. I remember what Bernard said, and my impression of what he was saying, he in no way meant to minimise or reduce the role of SNTs in engaging with the community and becoming the eyes and ears, becoming very much part of the community. What I think he was saying was that by expanding the number of PCs available, they would have greater powers. They would be able to do things in a more proactive way, perhaps, than SNTs. Some SNTs do at the moment. And the critical thing is that they're moving a substantial number of officers from jobs from squads and units of one kind or another, where they perhaps aren't spending as much time with the public as they could, or as indeed as they want to do, and they're getting a total of 2,640 odd officers into the safer neighbourhood teams. And I think that's a great improvement.
But at the same time, you're losing great numbers of PCSOs. And do you not see that there is a risk, and it's my local communities tell me this, there is a great risk that if the police neighbourhood teams are seen to be predominantly about kicking in doors and the enforcement side of things, and that needs to be done, but also that reassurance and that talking to communities looks like it's actually could be at risk with these new plans.
Jan, I understand where you're coming from, and I think it's a respectable hesitation to have, and I certainly understand why you're saying it. I don't think that it's anywhere in Bernard's intentions or in our plan to in any way to reduce the level of contact and interaction between SNTs and the community. Far from it, by putting more officers out there who want to intensify those contacts and to build up trust as much as we can.